Welcome everybody to this webinar titled Meeting of the Minds. Glad to have you here. My name is Kyle Hunt. I'm a business coach for remodelers and the creator of Remodelers Circle. And Remodelers Circle, what that is, they're professional mastermind groups of non-compete remodelers throughout the country. They're focused on making my remodeling clients better remodelers and helping them achieve their business goals and the work-life balance that they desire. Along with those groups, I offer various courses, a lot of them revolving around the sales and marketing plans and process for remodelers, and I do a lot of one-on-one coaching as well. Been doing it for the last 10 years. It actually hit me upside the head the other day where our second oldest child, her name's Piper, I started the business right when we were pregnant with her, and she turned 10 recently, and I've been at this for 10 years, specifically focusing on this niche of working with home remodelers. I love what I do. Hopefully you'll hear that throughout this webinar, and I'm glad you're here today. I'm up here in Michigan, nice little overcast, cloudy summer day. And I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm seeing the names. You guys were all across the fruited plains. Glad you guys are here. All right, so we are going to get rocking and rolling. And here's what we're going to do today. So in the last few weeks, 50 different remodelers that are part of 7 different Remodelers Circle mastermind groups have met for their monthly meeting. We hold, for several of the groups, we hold a virtual kind of Zoom video conference meeting every month. And then I have a few in-person groups of non-compete remodelers just here in Michigan where we get together in person. And it was interesting. It's always interesting where some of our creativity or ideas can come from. One of the kind of right-hand office manager, right-hand person for one of my clients sent me an email right after a full day mastermind meeting and said, hey, I hope your meeting of the minds meeting went well. She's an employee of one of the participants in the group. And I just saw that meeting of the minds and I thought, man, that's, number one, an interesting way of phrasing it. I haven't seen that before. And I thought that would be a good webinar title. And then the idea came to me, what if I just grabbed an idea or two from each of my groups, something that was brainstormed, that was mastermind, that was brought up, that was either a new idea, that was a good reminder, and kind of put that into a webinar. I think it would be very, very valuable. And it would also give people a taste of what these Remodelers Circle groups are like. So what we're going to do is kind of go through these 10 ideas that I pulled out and just to kind of give you a visual. Now, they don't always look this kind of professional and classy, but this is one of my groups. They're called the 5 stars, and there's 5 different kind of areas of their business and life that we've kind of coined that. That's a picture of us meeting here. It was about a year ago. And then these are some more of the recent groups. These are the virtual groups. I'm emphatically saying something, yelling at somebody, probably more encouraging somebody, hopefully. But those are the ACEs group. And then here's another kind of example of what they look like. These are the queen bees. Self-named, they're called the queen bees, and these are kind of office managers for different remodelers throughout the country. All right, so the reason you're here is to implement. So I said I've been doing this for 10 years, and pretty much since day one, my focus has not been necessarily on loading up my clients or people that I coach or that I teach with a bunch of new ideas. I would argue that we already have a lot of ideas. What we lack is prioritizing those ideas to what's most important, and more than anything else, executing and implementing good ideas that we've heard into our business. So if you've been on any webinars with me before, you usually will probably hear this, that the reason we're here is so that you guys can implement. So with that in mind, as you're going through, as you're hearing these different ideas, what I'm hoping for is 1, maybe 2, but for sure one of them will float up to the top of the highest priority for you, and you're going to do something with it. You're going to implement it. I don't want you to be on here, invest this precious time in your day to learn new things and then not do anything with them. We've got to implement. So I want to kind of put that out there as the goal that I have for you, and hopefully that you have as well. Does that sound good, by the way? If you want to put that in the chat box, make sure you're paying attention out there. Everybody agree to that? Yes, Rhonda, of course. Rhonda is an implementer, so she's all over it. All right, cool. All right. All right. So let's get to it. Number one. So this is from the ACES group of Remodelers Circle that met a few weeks ago. And what it's talking about is idea number one is consider a how much page on your website. A how much page on your website. So this was an idea that was shared by Paul McManus Kitchen and Bath. He's down in Tallahassee, one of the members of the ACES group. And then also something that another group member, Nate Baum, with Nate's Custom Renovations, he's in Nebraska. Both of them do this and do it in a little different way. And it was really interesting how the other group members kind of were puzzled by this at first, and then kind of went, and then kind of went, I could do something like that. And a couple other ones kind of said, I don't think that's for me, which is okay, right? We hear new ideas, we challenge them a little bit, we ask questions about it, we seek to understand why they do it that way, some of the results that Paul and Nate have found through this, and then we make a decision on how we're going to use that in our own business. So in Paul's case, what he does is has something called featured projects on his website, and pretty standard as far as kind of highlighting a project or kind of like maybe a case study that you would typically see on one of your projects. But what he does is he puts what the project cost on the post. So you look at master bathroom remodel in Killern Estates, $32,500. Interesting, right? That was the investment that this homeowner made in this project. But then he doesn't stop there. He goes in and describes the project in some details, talks about kind of the situation before it needed an update. The shower was small with a swinging glass door, etc. Kind of highlights some of his favorite upgrades that they did in the project, a little bit of a project overview of the results of it, talks about a few little features. What's cut off and what I didn't get a screenshot of is also highlights the different trade partners. So the plumber, the electrician, a couple trade partners that they used in addition to their own team on this project, which I think is very interesting. And then probably the most interesting part, or the part that made people go, is this part near the bottom of the post where they break down the cost of this project. Now, Paul approaches this a little bit different than, frankly, most of my other remodelers, where the homeowner is typically seeing kind of a lump sum at the bottom of what this project's going to cost. Paul's kind of broken it out where when he does a proposal, especially an initial kind of sit down with homeowners, he's got a tool that he uses that kind of spits out a good, better, best. And he has a little bit of a breakdown like you're seeing here on different areas. And I think this is what's interesting. I would say that this isn't my favorite idea. I think there's a lot of challenges with breaking it out like this. But when you listen to Paul describe it and the way he does and how he presents it and shows it, it's very interesting. It's very compelling. It's something that we should consider. And that's really the power of a mastermind group where you're seeing how people do it, and especially when it's different than yours, to make you think. Right? And a lot of times good ideas you can hear a good idea and then you can kind of tweak it and work it to work for you. And it might look a little bit different, but all of a sudden you've got an idea that is very powerful, or that helps you in your sales and marketing efforts. So that's the way Paul does it. And then this is an example of Nate with Nate's Custom Renovations. What he has on his website is a how much page. And what he's got here is kind of 3 different levels: a basic level, mid-level, high level. And then below there, it gives a little description of what's included, not included. And then it also, what you can't see on the screenshot, but if you went to his website, you'd see it, a little bit of a description of what is a basic, or what is a mid, or what is a high. If you've seen the cost versus value report from Remodeling Magazine, they usually have kind of a basic or a mid-level and a high level, and then a little bit of a description of what that consists of. And Nate's just kind of broken that out into a little bit more detail and organized it where he's got a presentation like this. So, in Nate's case, it's been extremely helpful in helping Nate qualify his prospects, protect his time. It helps him. He might, if he's getting a vibe on the phone of, I'm just looking to call in, we've called a few places, I'm just looking for kind of a quote or kind of a price, just a ballpark range. He might redirect them and say, hey, have you gone to the how much page of our website? Why don't you go ahead and take a look at that and study that a little bit, and then give us a call back and we can continue talking about your project. A nice way, right, to qualify his leads and protect his time. Or there's other people that might even say, you know, I was on the how much page, and I think we're probably kind of a middle-sized and a mid-level type kitchen based on the description I saw. That's probably more within our range of what we're looking to do. Now all of a sudden this person's already kind of thought through their budget a little bit. That's out on the table. And it's just a very effective tool to get that out there, to protect your time, to qualify folks, to start setting realistic expectations. It's a very interesting idea and approach. So that was the first idea I want to share with you. Consider a how much page on your website. Idea number 2 is titled Google reviews, ... Uh-oh. Now, you probably, if I were to say, hey, what do you think I mean by that? You probably think I mean, oh, we got a bad Google review. What do we do? I hear that often, and that happens, right? By the way, the answer to that is you need a lot of good reviews, and that way when they see a bad review from that, usually a prospect, right? Not even a client, some prospect that writes something bad about you, that they see enough Google reviews that are good that it just outweighs that one. But in this case, this was also from the ACES circle, and it was one of our members named Vasilios, who's in Baltimore. Interesting story about Vasilios. When I first started talking with him, I just like our first initial call, getting to know each other, I said, Vasilios, I was researching your business a little bit, and man, you've got 65 Google reviews. And I was sitting back here as a coach who's always talking to my remodelers about this and kind of saying, man, I wonder what he's doing. Does he have a really cool follow-up process? Is he just tenacious with it and follows up 3 times to finally get them to do it? What does he do? And Vasilios had the answer that it'll just stick with me forever. And he's originally from Greece, so he's got a little bit of an accent. And he said, Kyle, what I do is I do a very, very, very exceptional job for them. And then they want to leave me a review. And I thought, man, that's a good answer, right? And it just reminds me that such a huge part of our marketing success or our sales success or our business success is giving a remarkable experience to our clients. That's hard. Remodeling is hard. Giving a remarkable experience to our clients is hard, but just a reminder to you that that's our goal, to really give them a remarkable experience that they're going to rave about, that they're going to talk about, that they're going to remark about, that they're going to want to willingly. You don't even need to twist their arm to leave a positive review for you, to refer you. Right? So just a little nugget of reminder there. But in Vasilios' case, what he wanted to bring up to his fellow Remodelers Circle members was, hey guys, I used to have 65 Google reviews, and overnight, all of a sudden, I got down to 45. And just 20 of them like disappeared. And they were all good. They were all legit. And I've been in touch with Google. I've been in touch. He does some AdWords. So I think he's got a little bit of a direct connection to them. And they went away. They changed their algorithm a little bit. Something happened where 20 of his reviews disappeared. And there's not anything he can really do to get them back, it seems. So it's just a kind of a reminder. The idea that I want here is twofold. One, things change. That does not mean that we should walk away from getting Google reviews. If there is one place online that is most important for you to secure reviews, it is Google, period. More important than Houzz. Maybe if you're in certain areas, Yelp could float up to the priority list, especially out west, but Google is still the premier place to get them. And look, they changed things. For some reason, some of those must have looked spammy, or Google changed their algorithm. Maybe it was too old. I don't know what it was. Maybe they changed it where if somebody has left a review, but they haven't left a review anywhere else, then maybe that got marked down. I'm not sure. But the reminder is we need to go online and we need to get reviews. We need to get our homeowners to go online and get reviews. We need to ask for it. We need to be patient with them, but also follow up with them. We need to, if they left a review on Houzz, we need to copy what they wrote, email it to them and say, hey, this is something you left on Houzz, or hey, this is something you wrote in a note to us. Could you just copy and paste it and put it in Google? We need to put effort towards securing Google reviews. So that's the idea. There was 1, secure more reviews, and 2, things changed and the number of reviews you used to have compared to what you now have may be different. Make sure you go and check it out. Kelly, you asked in Canada too. I am not sure. Not sure about that. And if you have any questions, I've got my other screen open where I can I'm going to take little breaks in between and answer any questions you guys have. And we'll have some time at the end for some Q&A as well. All right, number three. Number three is a solid system for time cards. So this example was from the Queen Bees. Again, they named themselves. That wasn't even my my thought. But a topic came up. One of the bees asked how everyone else was doing their time cards for their team, for their crew. And everybody started chiming in, and T-Sheets was mentioned multiple times. Somebody was kind of doing it through CoConstruct, and then several others were just kind of still doing it manually. And when a few of the bees that heard some of the other bees were doing it manually, they said, no, you've got to get your guys on T-Sheets or something similar. There's no reason they aren't doing it digitally. It saves so much time. It saves so much headache. It's so much easier to integrate it into QuickBooks. It's so much easier to get our job costing right. You've got to do this. That's, again, another power of a mastermind group is that consensus or that experience that somebody else has already been through and had. All of a sudden you can borrow that. You can learn from that. You can get more clarity on that. You can get that encouragement or push you need to then dig into it. So the idea here is if your team and if you're still doing your time cards by hand or manually or however you're doing it, work to get it digital. And two of the members in the group, Nancy with Vencar Building Systems, Laurel with Nelson Builders in Michigan, at the end of every Remodelers Circle meeting, we lock in a commitment or a goal that we're going to get done between now and our next meeting. And in both of their cases, they're going to research and look into T-Sheets for time cards and make a decision on moving forward with it or not by August 28th. So that's the third idea that I wanted to share with you, is just a solid system for time cards. Number four, progress payments. This is a pretty simple and subtle change that has just flown through and rocked the world of one of my Remodelers Circle groups, where it's a simple thing, and it was something that I think it was the cumulative effect of hearing some of the members hearing the cash flow struggles of another member, hearing some of the way that they're kind of approaching progress payments and cash flow in general, and saying, "Time out. How do you do your payments again?" And what they were doing was something kind of like this. This is the before example where they might take 25% of the way, 25% down, and then 25% after framing, 25% after drywall, 15% after trim, etc. And somebody in the group kind of said, well, no, don't do it like that. And it's not messing with the percentages. The percentages are going to change up and down depending on the size of the project and kind of how you do that. But the big change was, instead of after framing or after drywall, it was at the start of framing, at the start of drywall. And this one surprised me, because three of the people in the group had been doing it the previous way, where it was at the end, where, by the way, framing can sometimes drag on. Okay, we're 95% of the way done, but we're not supposed to do that draw until after it's done. Should we bill? Should we not bill? Wow, that took an extra week because our drywaller, was busy and this got thrown off. The schedule got thrown off. Now all of a sudden, my payment schedule just got pushed out another week and a half. I'm waiting for that cash. And all of a sudden, we had this nice clean change where we said at the start of framing, at the start of drywall, at the start of trim. It's made it easier for the office side to bill it. And it has made a dramatic impact on these remodelers' cash flow, where they are truly using the client's money and financing the project with the client's money versus their own. And what surprised me about this is the impact. This was mentioned at the circle last week I just got to tell you guys, this has made an incredible impact on our cash flow and the way that we're managing our money. And this has been a consensus of three, maybe four, but for sure three of the members of the groups has been night and day difference. So I wanted to share that idea with you as reviewing your progress payments, making it so that it's at the start of the different phases versus the finish of the different phases. Number five. Time off. This is another example I grabbed from the Queen Bees. How are we doing, by the way? Catching something? You getting something? Amazing. Thank you. I'm going to say, you're saying that, Rhonda, amazing, based on the wonderful content, amazing content. Thank you. Good. Good. Feel free to toss some chat stuff in here though, please get some questions going. Or what I also love to do is get some takeaways. Even if you've heard something so far, you're like, that's something I need to do, or that's something I need to look into more. Type what that something is, like a takeaway in the box. All right. All right. So number 5 is just kind of a quick one and a reminder for all of us. So one of the things that I enjoy doing at the end of each meeting for Remodelers Circle is some people kind of submit it ahead of time, and then some are kind of delivering it to me at the very end. But we take the last 5 or 6 minutes of the meeting and say, okay, what is your top commitment / goal that you are going to get done between now and our next meeting? You'll hear more about that in number 9. But what I enjoy about it is sometimes I kind of know what the person's going to say because I know what's going on in their business. I know what their priority is and where their head's at. And then other times it's just something that kind of comes out of left field, like, really interesting. I didn't see that one coming. And that was one of these instances at this last meeting where one of the bees, I'm just going to call them the bees, one of the ladies had said this: I need to set a time for a real vacation with Paul and plan it. Not kind of a one, like maybe an overnighter, or not like, something where we do a staycation, but like a real vacation. Paul's her husband, who's also in the business, and plan it. And it was an interesting thing where she had been getting a little feedback from Paul of kind of like, well, we're busy, this and that. She had been wanting to schedule it, but it was one of those things that if we don't plan it, if we don't set a goal when we're going to do it, it doesn't get done. And there was some chatter after that of just encouraging that, or man, I need that too, or we just did that, or I think one other person kind of raised their hand and said, hey, make that mine too. Now that I think about it, we need to do that as well. And it's just a reminder that as busy business owners, busy business people, we need to make sure we take some time off. And sometimes that can mean like an afternoon off. Sometimes in Laura's case, that legit means like 5 or 6 days off. They need to unplug here at the end of summer to get plugged back in and revved up for the fall. But I think my biggest piece, or my biggest thought here, is just making sure that we're balanced. So much of what I attempt to do in my business, and some degrees I'm successful, some degrees I'm not, what I attempt to coach my clients on is trying to find this work-life balance. I've been doing this business for 10 years. I have not found the bottom of my to-do list yet. It's never ending, right? You have never gotten to the end of your to-do list as a business owner. There's always something to do, and we need to recharge. We need to refocus. So whether it means, this could also mean like I need to spend a dedicated, afternoon with one of my kids. I need to take my significant other or spouse on a date. I have not called my mother or my brother, my cousin or whatever in a long time, and I need to do that. It's just kind of a reminder here to take some time off and or schedule something. What comes to mind when I just threw out like those 4 or 5 examples? What comes to mind for you that kind of equates to this time off? All right. All right, cool. So the challenge is real. Good job, Queen Bees. Refresh your brain. Great stuff, but missed the first half due to fires needing to be put out. Yes, I'm recording, Anthony. There's never a perfect time. Just plan it. That's right, Megan. Let go of stress so you can be better for your staff and clients. Right, Jane? Like time off, taking the afternoon off sometimes will make you more productive or just better to be around. Sometimes we can get cranky, right? If you're on some of you may be, most of you aren't, but on my personal Facebook page this morning, I may have been scrambling a little bit this morning to get this webinar prepped and ready. I may have had a full day of meetings, so I was a little stressed, and I didn't take the trash out last night, so I needed to take it this morning, and yada, yada, yada. And I'm driving. My office is 2 miles from the house, and I'm driving, and I'm kind of in a hurry. I need to get to work. I got things to do. And I'm behind this guy going 20 miles an hour in a 25 speed zone. Just like, come on, are you kidding me? He finally turns. And then about 10 seconds later, I keep moving and run into the train tracks where a train is going by. So I'm stopped there, wait for the entire train to go by. And then I'm getting close to my office, close to turning into the parking lot. And here comes a herd of 20 kids and their 2 teachers walking single file across the road. And I thought to myself, wow, this may be God's cue that I need to slow down and I need to relax, and I need to not be in such a stinking hurry, and I need to not be a crazy person. So it was just a reminder that I posted for myself this morning of there's plenty of things to do. There's a lot of things to do. Running a business is stressful, but we are not at our finest when we are frantic, and we need to slow down, take a deep breath, and relax. And wouldn't you know it, I did that for the majority of the day, and I got done what I needed to get done. There you go. All right, a couple other people said, don't take the cell phone with you on vacation, quadruple exclamation mark. Thank you, Jonathan. Good reminder. Peter said, turn your phone off for at least half the vacation too. Good point. Very good point. All right, number 6. How are we doing here? We are doing well. We're going to keep cruising though. Number 6, this is how we work. So this was an example from the Avengers group. And I will quickly tell you how they got their name. Tony, very funny. If you follow the Avengers, Iron Man, right? Tony had this big, he had some arm surgery, shoulder surgery, and had this big contraption on his arm. And we do our Remodeler Circle calls via video conference. And he had it the first month, and he had it the second month. I'm saying, Tony, you still got that big old contraption. You look like Iron Man. I hadn't even made the connection that Tony Stark and Iron Man, they're one and the same, right? And this guy's name's Tony. And I then was saying, hey, we're still looking to pin down a name for this group. And then I thought to myself, you guys are the Avengers. So they are officially the Avengers. And this example is from that group. And during each Remodeler Circle meeting, we have a time, about 25 minutes, where one of the members has a hot seat. And that member and I do a little prep work to kind of say, okay, what is the singular biggest challenge you're having in your business that you want to present to the group, that you want them to ask questions about, seek to understand the situation, and give you advice about. And in Tony's case, it was just his overall his process. He's implementing a project development agreement / design retainer right now. He is working to add that into his process, which is new for him. He's just kind of struggling with just laying out, this is how we work for his prospects. It's something that he's just not taking the time to explain well. He doesn't have it written down. He's not documenting it. So we had just a really spirited, kind of meeting about this, and a lot of back and forth. Another guy in the group, John with @Design Remodel out in Massachusetts, does a really nice job on his website of just explaining the process step by step. We had another person in the group kind of explaining how she sets up the initial in-person meeting, kind of saying, my purpose today is to see your project, to talk about your budget, to see what the next steps are, to listen, write, take notes, and also talk about the budget that you're looking to have for this project, and But just really clearly, she articulated step by step what she says. And it's a reminder, what this idea is for you listening, is that we need to document our process. Yes, internally, but especially externally to our prospects. What is your process? You have a process. Do you talk on the phone, meet in person, do a design and proposal, email the proposal, and then sign it? Do you meet in person, offer a little bit of a estimated range based on your experience and the project they're talking about, and then offer a project services agreement or a design retainer? What do you do, right? Everyone's got something different. So if you don't have that written out, take a stab at writing it out, just step by step. These prospects that are coming to us for that kitchen remodel, for that addition, for that basement finish, for that bathroom, this is not something they do every day. And the education that they have up to this point is maybe some bad stories that they've heard, or bad experiences that they've had in this industry, or they've gone and watched HGTV for the last 10 years, so they think everything's going to cost $15,000 and take a week, right? So we need to educate them. We need to teach them. We need to show them what the process is. When you have a clear, this is how we work, it instills confidence. It differentiates you. It helps you build know, like, and trust, which is the definition of marketing, getting someone as a need to know, like, and trust you. So this was a topic that was dug into. It's a topic that is dug into in a lot of different Remodeler Circle groups. But think of, for you, documenting, writing out, this is how we work. This is my process. It's something that you can explain on the initial phone call. You can put as a page on your website. You can link to in the email you send out between the initial phone call and in-person meeting. It's something you explain at the in-person meeting. Write it out, educate them. Okay, maybe you even create a video that says, hey, let me tell you how we work at Design Remodel, and then go there. Okay, so that is number 6, is our process. This is how we work. I saw a few people kind of chime in like this is a takeaway so far, but does anyone have a question or anyone have a takeaway that they want to toss in the chat box? All right, I'm gonna keep rocking while you guys are typing. All right, number 7. I added a question, she says. All right, let me make sure I can. Says I don't have any open questions, so go ahead and maybe toss it. Okay, there we go. All right, so number 7, they are sold. Now what? So this one came from one of my clients who, hang on, working on some technology here. There we go. Who just had a question for the group of saying, you know, I feel like when they sign the contract with us, up to that point, we've got a pretty solid process in place. We kind of know what we're doing. We walk them through nicely, step by step. And then when they sign with us, things just kind of get clunky. We haven't really thought through exactly step by step what to do. And boy, we're noticing that to stumble out of the blocks, right, when we finally sign them, to stumble out of the blocks is just not something that we want to do. We want them to continue to instill confidence, you know, have confidence in us. We want to get this project kicked off on a strong note. So we brainstormed that quite a bit, and you know, just talked about even starting by create a checklist, right? When you have a new client, what are the things that you need to do? Because there's going to be things related to getting a deposit request, getting the contract signed, work authorization, adding them into QuickBooks or adding them into Co-Constructor Builder Trend. There may be some things to get them working on, right? That's a good first step, is maybe there's some selections you still need to pin down, some decisions they need to finalize. Hopefully not a lot by the time the contract's signed, but maybe there's a few. We need to get the deposit when you get the contract. We need to draw up maybe a selection list that maybe is still out there. There's a checklist of different things that you do. So maybe that's the first start, is just creating that list. And for this, the gentleman who asked that question to the group, that was actually a very good first step that he needed to take on. But what I also want to kind of say about this topic is just more broadly, not specifically what happens when we have a new client, but more broadly when just talking about processes in general. So why do we need solid processes in our business? I listed out some bullet points. Processes, systems, they give us peace of mind. They help us be profitable. We are more profitable when we have solid systems and processes in place. Things aren't getting missed. Things aren't getting forgotten. I just had a door installed at my house last week by one of my clients. I will not name their names. And they installed it, and the installers came. They did a nice job, and once you know it, they forgot the hardware. They forgot the lock and the doorknob. And it was kind of fun for me to trace back what part of the process, you know, didn't work there. But the bottom line is they're an hour away. And guess what? The next day, one of their guys had to take it from the warehouse down here, install it. It costs money when we don't have good, solid checklist processes, or when we're not following them, right? We know that. So profitability is such a huge thing. It helps us be consistent. It helps us deliver excellent customer satisfaction. Processes help your sanity, right? They help you grow responsibly. So many of us, it's a hot market right now. We are growing our businesses. And if that growth is not based on the foundation of good, solid processes and systems, things are going to get chaotic. Growth, when you don't have systems in place, gets chaotic. Growth, when we have systems in place, is less chaotic, right? And better. It keeps you focused on always improving when you have processes. It helps your employees do their job better. And frankly, they enjoy working for a business that has solid systems and processes in place. So that's number 7. They are sold, now what? But really the thought there is just overall, when you think about your business, what is a process? One singular process that maybe you can put your attention to and get into place or work on. All right, cool. Number 8, mowing the lawn. Number 8, mowing the lawn. So the thought here came from one of the circle groups where they've known each other for quite a while, and one of the guys in the group had mentioned, I think last year, like, hey, I've got somebody mowing my lawn now. It's amazing, right? Like I'm just, instead of spending that hour mowing the lawn, I'm spending it with the two boys. Like, I don't know why I didn't do this earlier. You know, the father just delegating that. And he was hesitant to share this next phase of delegation, which was and in particular, he mentioned one of the guys in the group that he knew was going to harass him for it. And he said, I'm hesitant to share this because you know who's going to harass me for this, but I've hired somebody to pick up the dog crap every week. And we all laughed, and he did get harassed for it. But then he's like, look, it takes me 15 minutes. I'm busy. I need to keep figuring out what to delegate right now. Yes, when the boys are old enough to do it, I can have them do it. But right now they're 2 and 4, and it doesn't cost a lot of money, and it saves me time and hassle. And I just spend that time with the kids and taking care of other things. So the thought here, the idea here is thinking about delegating. Man, all of us, we've got to keep figuring out what else can we delegate to various team members, various trade partners, various, outside help of a bookkeeper or an assistant or whatever the case might be. So yes, it could be mowing the lawn. I'm going to circle back up to that top bullet and tell you what that is in a second. It could be your QuickBooks, your payroll, it could be your bookkeeping, it could be your job site management, it could be some of your marketing. There's so many things. And what I want you to think about just for you is, what is one thing that you can delegate? Think about what you did today. What is something that you did it, and maybe you had the fallacy in your head of, well, by the time I tell somebody how to do it, I might as well do it. Stop saying that. Figure it out. Make a process. Delegate that. But what is one thing, similar to the previous one, of what's one process that you could, get into place? What's one thing you could delegate? And the story, or the kind of the teaching I usually do on this, is thinking about how you're spending your time and putting it in. It's either $10 an hour, $100 an hour, and $1,000 an hour. And the thought here is, when you as the business owner are taking out the trash, when you are making deposits at the bank, when you are creating an invoice in QuickBooks, that's $10 an hour work. Not that what you pay the person to do that is necessarily worth $10, but it's a good round number. That's $10 an hour work. $100 work is when maybe you're doing some of your project management. Maybe it's some of the estimating, right? It's in proposal creation. It's a little bit more it's definitely more valuable work, but it's not your most valuable work. So identify the stuff that's maybe $100 work. And then think about, for you as a business owner, what is $1,000 an hour work? I would argue that attending a webinar like this, learning, is $1,000 work. I would say for all of my Remodelers Circle members, when they're attending their mastermind meeting and they're being encouraged and held accountable and getting new ideas and getting refreshed and motivated and encouraged, that's $1,000 work. I would say when you're meeting with a new prospect, there's nobody else in the business that could do that better than you. That's your most valuable work. When you're meeting with a strategic partner and building a relationship with a new architect or with your CPA who might refer you, that's $1,000 work. So think about that. Are you finding yourself doing a ton of $10 work? How can you delegate more of that? That's the idea there. Mowing the lawn. Mowing the lawn. So Peter said DAD, delegate, automate, delete. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. We sent an email with a progress bar showing which phase they are in. Very cool. Very cool. Rhonda, great takeaway. I like it. All right, cool. I'd like more. There's a few dozen of you. I'd like to see some more takeaways, please. In fact, I said earlier, so let me get this serious. Now I've got the video on. I said I'll turn the video on when I want to make an emphatic point. We've covered 8 of them so far. We're on the home stretch. It's 2:39. We're on the home stretch. Do you have a takeaway so far? Is there one thing that you're kind of saying, you know what, I'm going to do that, or I'm going to implement that? If you could put that in the chat box, I would appreciate it. Part of the reason why I don't have the video on is because I do this the whole time and I'm walking back and forth, and that doesn't make for good video. And then secondly, it makes the recording very large. So you can't see my pretty face. I'm going bye-bye again. Number 7 for sure, he says. Number 7, the process one. Good. Thank you, Peter. Kelly, number 7 as well. The process one kind of smacked a couple people. Need to develop a clear and concise process. And now the question Eric's kind of asking himself is, what process? Okay. I like that. Putting the cost of the projects on the website. Ooh, turning the video on got you guys' attention. Good. Yeah, putting the cost of the projects on the website. That was the number one idea that I tossed out there first. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. We are posting timelines and prices on our website next week. Cool, Megan. Number 6, revisit our process. This is how we work on the website, and also looking on improving other internal processes. So like that second one of look at improving other internal processes, Sue, perfect. And then just make sure that when we set a goal of like, we need to improve our processes, that's not a good goal. But once you've thought about it, just whittle that down to this is the specific process I'm going to get done. And actually, it's a beautiful little segue into number 9, which is the commitment/SMART goal. Every meeting, lock one in. So like I said earlier, this is something that at the end of every Remodeler Circle meeting, each member pins something down, very specific and a SMART goal. So when we look at that, what SMART is specific, measurable, assignable, meaning somebody's responsible for it. It's relevant or realistic is another way that I see that. And then it's time-based or it's time-bound. So this is an idea that is consistent into the culture of all of our Remodeler Circle groups, but it's also just an idea that I wanted to bring back up. All of you have heard of this before, I'm guessing, right? Making SMART goals. And what this is really doing is just trying to pin down a specific goal that is measurable. We can know if it's done or not. It's assigned to a specific person. It's not Kyle and Sarah are going to do this. One person is responsible so that when it's not done, we know who to hold accountable to it. It's relevant or realistic, and then it's time bound. It's got a deadline attached to it, right? It's very practical. You can take all these time management books, but really what it is being disciplined to try to not be overwhelmed by all of the things we need to do and really pin down, prioritize, and focus on one thing at a time and making some deadlines and taking those serious. And that's one of the benefits of Remodeler Circle is there's some accountability. You might not get harassed too much if you didn't get your thing done, but you show up every time and you don't have your thing done, I'm going to harass you. It's part of what you're paying me for, right? Some accountability. And also, you just also don't want to be the one in the group that shows up not getting your stuff done, not living up to your word, not living up to your commitment. So there's something interesting and valuable, and frankly, it's kind of a love-hate, right? We love accountability, we hate accountability, but we need it as business owners. Remodeling is difficult. I wrote some content about that last year. I don't know if there's a more difficult small business to run than remodeling when you factor in we're in people's homes, we're disrupting their lives, the unforeseens, the legal aspects of it, the permitting, the need to continue to have sales flowing in and marketing flowing in and sign things, and there's not a perfect one way to do it. You look around, there's really not a harder business. I'm a little jaded towards it, right? Or not jaded, but bent towards it, where I have that thought, but boy, you look around, do lawyers have it tougher? Do CPAs have it tougher? I don't know. We run a difficult small business, so that accountability and setting goals is so critical. So I wanted to kind of share that idea with you guys as well. Bias. Thank you, Anthony. Not a boy. That's what I meant to say. Not jaded. Biased. Jane, we use it as qualifying component. Look at you guys. You guys are typing in all kinds of stuff here. Hang on one second. Let me read it so everybody can see it. Just did an average project price on our website, and it is working great. Thanks, Paul. Anthony's actually in Paul's group. Cool. Love the low, medium, high level budget reference to the website and get the conversation going versus we don't know our budget, right? So often when we ask them, well, what is your budget? They say, we don't know. Now, the reality is they have a number in their head. They absolutely have a number in their head, right? But for us to be able to kind of go to this other source that's kind of written down and say, look, based on our experience, based on the projects that we do, here's what we have found. Whether you use the cost versus value report and that one matches up nicely for your business, whether you create something yourself like that, it is a way to get that budget conversation out on the table a little bit earlier in the process, which just lends itself to such a better experience for everybody involved, / protecting your time, / not wasting the client's time. So many different benefits. In the past, I've kicked around the idea of putting typical budgets on my website, but never got around to it. I think it would set us apart and maybe only encourage those clients that are right for us. Right, Jane, right? So good marketing attracts and repels. And by doing that, putting that out there, that's going to attract some people, that's going to repel some people. That's one of the benefits. It's also just the I don't know, there's a lot of know, like, and trust that can be built there. There's no tougher business than running a construction company. We are responsible for everything, and everybody agreed. Number one, putting on a how much page. Nice job, Scott. I always tell them that they will receive the cost of salary report, but I don't feel it's enough. Good, right? So that's a start, and then you're thinking maybe there's something else to add. Awesome, guys. All right, cool. So let's keep cruising. We are doing well on time, and number 10, are you going to go it alone? Is the last idea here. So the thought here is, what did I say? I said, are you going to join your own Remodeler Circle group? So here's something that may sound odd. I don't care if you join Remodeler Circle. You might go join Remodeler's Advantage with Victoria. It's excellent, right? And it's catering towards a certain part of our market, and top maybe 10, 15, 20% in our industry, right? There's pros and cons to that. Let me cancel my Microsoft auto update. It's not the time to do that. You might do something with EBA Prime. You might do something with like the Builder with Troy Kilgore. You might do something with like the Builder or Remodeler 20 groups. There's good businesses, good mastermind groups out there. You may have something locally where you're just with other business owners. Maybe it's not specifically remodelers. There's a lot of advantage to being in a group with other remodelers, but maybe it's a local group and you meet once a month in person and mastermind and brainstorm. Whatever the case is, do not go it alone. If you are out on a limb, if you are by yourself, if you're trying to figure all this out on your own, stop. There's resources out there. There's opportunities out there. There's investments attached to a lot of them, but there's probably also some local things, or finding a local mentor that would take you under their wing to give you some coaching, give you some accountability. There's opportunities out there, but the big idea here in number 10 is do not go about this alone. It is so much easier, so much better, so much, I don't know, you can focus more, you can achieve more, you can feel supported and encouraged. We're better when we find a group of people we can trust, that we can support, that we can contribute to, that we can learn from. So I just implore you, I urge you to find a group. Or Rhonda says, just hire Kyle. That's fine as well. That's fine as well. So what I wanted to kind of share with you guys here at the end before we do a little bit of Q&A is just a little bit about Remodelers Circle in particular. So I think this webinar is kind of interesting in that you probably already got a feel for it just by going through those examples. And it will also be interesting. I kind of think I might do these once a month or once every other month and just pull, 6 or 7, maybe not 10, but 6 or 7 ideas each month that are just new, fresh, and share them. And also just keep mentioning this Remodeler Circle thing as well. But Remodeler Circle benefits, why make the $275 a month investment? So some reasons that my members and my clients that are part of Remodeler Circle are part of it. So they make more money. They increase their profits. When you have better systems, you are more productive. You save money and eliminate mistakes. You have a lot of encouragement to raise your markup, right? When you're transparent and open about that, when you hear what other people are charging, it can give you some encouragement or some perspective to perhaps raise your prices to what you need for your business. Megan just asked a beautiful question. Are there any available openings in the Remodeler Circle? Megan, that is a beautiful question. It warms my heart. Stand by. Examples on how to be more efficient, to drive down your cost of goods sold, right? You'll hear an idea from another member that all of a sudden makes your operation more streamlined, that all of a sudden just saved your guys 2 hours out in the field every time they do that, because you just heard of a unique way to install that you haven't been doing that somebody else has. You're going to improve your sales process to help close more business. You're going to have some solid marketing ideas to attract better leads. And then, so again, under this umbrella is members, you're going to make more money. You're going to increase your profits. You're also going to pay closer attention to the financial side, your annual budget. I'm going to push you to set up an annual budget, to review regularly and understand in depth your profit and loss statement, to understand and implement and make sure you're looking and understanding and studying your job cost reporting. And it's under this umbrella of what gets measured gets improved, right? So this was a little quote from Justin. He's one member out in California. Another great meeting yesterday. It blows my mind how intelligent and thoughtful the group is. I'm pretty sure he's just talking about me, but maybe he's talking about the other ones. They really make me want to step up my game with processes and procedures, that I'm in awe of the systems that come in that some in the group have developed. Thank you for putting this together. Another reason, encouragement and accountability. Like I said earlier, running a remodeling business is hard. Do not attempt to do it on your own. It's smart to surround yourself with smart people. We need accountability, and then we all need to be fed with new and fresh ideas and approaches. My weakest point in my business, I think back to it was a few years ago, and I just wasn't that inspired in my business. I was kind of like going through the motions for a season. And what I realized is that I wasn't learning anything new. I wasn't reading anything. I wasn't talking with colleagues. I wasn't brainstorming. I wasn't listening to podcasts, watching anything. I was just not feeding myself with any new inspiring information, ideas, approaches. And I remember right when I figured that out, I said, that's what it is. That's why I'm in a funk. And then right back out, I got out of that funk when I started to just feed myself with new ideas. And that encouragement and that accountability I talked about earlier is such a huge part of this. So Anthony, who's on the call, he wrote this the other day in an email, feeling encouraged, motivated, and loving this group. That was an interesting one because Anthony listened to the recording. He was tied up that day, but still got some value from that. Achieve a better work/life balance. A lot of entrepreneurs stink at this. You're a celebrity now. Yes, Anthony, thank you. Your commission check will be in the mail. Seeing successful work-life balance examples is very helpful, or even seeing failed attempts at that and other members in your group just being honest with that. The accountability is helpful. People asking about your life outside of work brings perspective that it's not all about work. And you have somebody that facilitates and leads these groups and is the coach of these groups that I care a lot about this. I just care a lot in my coaching with my remodelers about work-life balance. And I actually reached out to a guy who I followed on Facebook for a long time, and this quote, I'm like, I remember this quote, but I don't know exactly what it was. And he sent it to me earlier. And it says, no other success can compensate for failure in the home. It's tough words, but it's just a reminder to us that we can be as successful as we want in business, but if we are neglecting other areas of our life, our health, our faith, our family, our kids, our friends, whatever, our hobbies, our causes that we support, it's just out of balance. It's not worth it, right? So we've always got to be constantly striving to achieve a better work-life balance, and that's part of what we aim to do in Remodelers Circle. A structured way to work on the business. We all need to work on the business, not just in the business. We all know that. This forces you to do it every month. It's on the calendar. You're going to be at this meeting. You're going to make time for it, and it's going to be time for you to think and work on your business. It gives you clarity on goals and your business plan. It gives you an opportunity to just come up for air, get refreshed, inspired. This is a quote from Lon. He's in Minnesota. And he said, wow, I now have a huge change in mindset from what I was thinking before the hot seat time. So he sent that to me when he brought a kind of a challenging situation to the hot seat, and we kind of changed the way he was thinking about something. It was actually a hiring decision. So help me with making the hard decisions. They call them hard decisions for a reason. What I'm talking about here is firing an employee, hiring a new position that you've never had before, and taking that risk and that jump. Including or getting advice on raising your markup or changing the structure of an area of your business. So often, these are the things that are challenging, that are tough, that as part of Remodelers Circle, especially as the members get to know each other and build relationship with each other, there's things like, have you fired that person yet? You have been talking about that for 6 months, Kyle. You know he needs to go. You've got to do it, right? That encouragement and that clarity that comes and that better perspective that you get and that accountability that you get from the group, that just helps you when it comes to the hard decisions that we all have to make in our business. That's a huge part of what Remodeler Circle is about. Kyle, that was unbelievably helpful. These guys are super sharp, completely changed the way I was thinking about an issue. Got some great takeaways and action items for the next few weeks. Professional coaching and effective marketing. So the thought of, hey coach, I have a question. Do you have the opportunity to say that right now? Do you actually have somebody that knows who you are, knows your business, knows your industry and the ins and outs of it, where you could send a text or schedule a quick call or send an email to say, hey, I've got a situation that I need some feedback on? One of the things I came to the conclusion of here recently is that I always kind of use the term coaching and consultant, a coach and a consultant interchangeably. And I was thinking about it recently, and a consultant kind of comes into a business, analyzes it, gives advice, maybe helps with some processes and systems, does their thing, and then generally speaking, kind of hits the road. Valuable, but not necessarily a long-term thing. A coach, on the other hand, is somebody that you've really built some know, like, and trust with, that knows you, that gets you, that cares about you, that is rooting you on, that is giving you encouragement, accountability, that's teaching you, that's educating you. And that's what I love to do. I'm a coach. I'm a business coach for remodelers. So that's part of what you get as a member of Remodelers Circle, is access to me as a coach who just loves this stuff and knows this stuff and cares about you. Or, hey, coach, I need help. Or, yes, that looks good, send it out. So something that you have as a member is a done-for-you email newsletter each month is another benefit. Yes, that looks good, post them. Another thing you have as a member are some done-for-you social media posts that make that really easy. Yes, we can help with that. Let's set up a time to meet. That's a result of perhaps sending out and staying in touch with your previous clients. That might be somebody that responds to your email newsletter and you get some results from some effective marketing. I only work with remodelers. I've gone very, very deep into a very narrow niche. I've got the perspective and experience of working closely and coaching 100 plus remodelers over the last decade. And then I just have a passion for helping you make more money, but like I said earlier, achieve just a solid work-life balance and be proud of a business that you've built. All right. So another one, two more. I'm going to breeze through these two. Feel more organized and in control of your business is another thing. And then you have a trusted group of colleagues and friends you can count on. It's very interesting for me to hear some stories of especially in maybe the local ones up here in Michigan, where they were in town and they just called each other and got together for coffee. Or, you know, I have been meeting this person and I happened to be traveling to their neck of the woods and we got together in person. Or somebody that picks up the phone and calls you with a word of encouragement because they saw you were down in the dumps after that last meeting, you're going through some tough times. Or you can call them. Actually having people that you can call for some help or perspective on something, it's just such a powerful thing. Or something that we have a group text pretty much for all the different groups, and maybe they have a client story or something that they send or a picture they send that just makes you laugh and just brightens your day. So that's something that is just special about the group as well. So the benefits of Remodelers Circle, there's the 90-minute video conference mastermind call every month. Generally, there's kind of 7 to 10 remodelers in each group. Non-compete. There's a coaching gym, which is just a little one-on-one coaching call with me every month that you can take advantage of. There's a done-for-you email newsletter that's all customized and done for you that you can send out to your previous clients and prospects for more repeat and referral work. There's done-for-you social media posts that you can just literally select the post you'd like to use and submit it, and my team will schedule those posts for you during the month. There is a customized client satisfaction survey. There's some professional templates that you can use throughout your sales process, and there's access. There's a lot in here. And there's access to some different training courses that I've done over the last year or two. So the investment is $275 a month. Wow, Kyle. I've tried to pack a lot of value into the package, make it something that is, it's not pennies, it's not cheap, but it's also not super expensive, and just kind of position and package it up in a way that it makes just really good sense for a lot of remodelers. So Megan, the answer is yes to, are there available openings in the Remodelers Circle? I'm going to be starting a couple new groups here soon. So if you're interested, go ahead and kind of reach out and text me. It'd be fun to get a couple texts from you guys if you want to talk a little bit more about if you have interest in it, or feel free even to put in the chat box, I'm interested, and I'll just make a note to reach out to you. All right, cool. So this little quote that I found: when the pain of remaining the same is greater than the pain of change, change occurs. So perhaps now's the time for you to not go it alone and get some help and some encouragement and be part of a group. Q&A time. So feel free again to text me. Hey, I'm interested. Let's talk a little bit and tell me more. Or go ahead and put it in the old in the chat box if you're interested. And just let's do a couple minutes of Q&A, whether it's related to the group or whether it is just related to any other thing that we've done. Or go ahead and put a takeaway in the chat box, something that you learned today. Jonathan, I have to fire/retire an employee who's been with me for 15 years so hard. I have not done it yet. It's tough, man. It's very tough. Yeah, and that's where, right, being in a group and getting some encouragement would be super helpful. But just even off the cuff, not knowing the situation, you said I have to, right? It's a long time coming. I think one piece of advice that I give you on that is your other employees will stand up and applaud you. It's amazing how I've seen this very big in the last 3 months in 2 instances where the owner is hanging on to an employee, and in one case they lost a really good employee because of it, and in another case his right-hand man is just about fed up with it. The impact that a bad apple can have on the rest of your culture, on you, on your own just ability, and stress level, right, is amazing. So that's one thing I want to just remind you, Jonathan, is I don't know if you've got other employees, but that breath of fresh air that's going to happen when you get a bad seed or somebody that needs to go out of the business, your own stress level is going to be reduced. That's one reason why it makes sense that sometimes we don't see and we don't think about. All right. Cool. Some other questions or takeaways? Toss them in there. Toss them in there, people. I'll even start the video up and stay static for a minute. What are some other questions? Or I'm interested in Remodelers Circle. You shoot me a text or put it in here. See if I missed anything else here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for participation. Let's get a couple questions. 2 questions at least before we call it a day. And I will be sending out the recording in case you missed part of it or came on late. Come on, give me a takeaway, something you learned, or a question. I got all day. Actually, I don't, but I'm in the Remodelers group and it is wonderful. You all should join. I like it. Nice, Rhonda. And one more person, toss something in there. What is the average gross profit margin for completed jobs? Interesting. So, I approach it a little bit more. I don't use the term margin very much or very often. I kind of go a lot by markup. But the answer to that is I see, and this is when that question comes up, or when the topic of, hey, what's your cost of goods sold percentage? What's your gross profit, margin? What's your net profit? All those questions. Everyone has their P&L set up differently. Some people have all of their management, even though technically it probably should be put up in the cost of goods sold section. They have it down near the bottom. Anthony said, whatever it takes to run your business and making that profit. That's a pretty good stinking answer too. Other people they don't have a lot of overhead, right? So they don't need, their markup is less and their gross profit margin is lower because their markup is less. So there's no average. There's no average. I think the biggest, we all want the average. Here's what I want to know. What does your business budget tell you need your gross profit to be to cover your costs and be profitable? That's my biggest question. And when you're quoting and estimating a job, are you actually bringing it in at the gross profit margin that you're expecting, right? We worry a lot, or we think a lot, or we compare ourselves to everybody else. Number one, there's not a right answer. Number two, everybody's P&L and everybody's markup and everybody's needs are different. Yes, maybe it's interesting to know that answer, but there's so many, but you need to understand, what's everybody's net profit? Well, somebody takes a $150,000 salary or $200,000 salary, their net profit is going to be less. Net profit doesn't mean anything. So just some thoughts there, Jonathan, is I'm more concerned with, what do you need? Do you know exactly what you need in order to be profitable? In order to have the income and the net profit that you need, do you have that in place? Right? And then Peter, right, small jobs, 100%, sliding scale down to 50. Some people do different things like that. So cool. Hopefully that's helpful. All right, people. What are your thoughts on full disclosure model, sharing all costs with a profit and overhead figure and project setup and management fees? So we'll finish it like this. Go to remodelerscommunity.com. It's going to redirect you to my private Facebook group. Several of you are probably already in there. And then Eric, what you just wrote And Rob just put in there 39% net. Net what? Eric, what you just wrote, there is a very long and detailed thread on that specific topic with all kinds of insight, all kinds of ideas, all kinds of other ways of doing it. So go to that remodelerscommunity.com. It'll link you to my private Facebook group. It's free. If you're not part of it, you can request to join. Rhonda says that's a powerful group, a must. Yeah. And then Eric, go dig through there a little bit. Search some of those keywords in there. You're going to find it, and you're going to learn a ton. There's, I think, two different groups, 2 different threads. That was really solid there. Cool. All right. So that's it. We will see you guys again next time. Thank you for dialing in, and we shall talk to you soon. Reach out anytime. Thanks.